We're here with Lecrae, the one and only. Yeah, you don't know of any others out there? Okay. So 72,000 copies of Gravity sold, number one, and that was in the first week, by the way.
Wow.
Number one on top Billboard Top 200. How's that feel?
Yeah, it feels good. Obviously, the goal isn't like I want to sell tons of albums for selling album's sake, but it's, what it is it's really kind of it's social and industrial currency. It just allows you to navigate and talk to different people and build relationships. And so that's really, the ambition. And also it's a demonstration of how influential the music is probably in culture right now. So
That's a bit unprecedented for, I know you don't like the term Christian rapper, but just a rapper who professes their faith. How are you able to achieve that?
I think one is definitely having a pretty solid and consistent fan base. I call them family. So they're really just they're avid supporters. I think they look at me as a voice for them in some ways. And so almost like a faith-oriented revolutionary, who can speak on their behalf. And so I think they rally behind that.
So who is your family? Like, who are your listeners then?
Oh my goodness, they're all over the map. They're from all walks of life, all socioeconomic groups. But I think there's some common threads. They love good music, good quality music. They probably love hip hop, and they are passionate about what they believe is true. And if you're a Christian, obviously you feel like, yes, what he's saying is true in a lot of circumstances. But even if you're not a Christian, there's just some themes that are undeniable, right? Like, we don't want to see violence terrorize our cities. We want good relationships with people in our family. And so those are some of the threads I think everyone resonates with.
All right. So, we talked about how those numbers are a bit unprecedented for someone in your position. But what makes you different? What's the uniqueness of you that has been able to propel you into that?
Yeah, I mean, outside of my avid stance and consistency and like saying, hey, this is what I believe in. It's just the whole picture of it is an anomaly for people, because I think hip hop has been kind of identified as misogynistic, violent, drug oriented, and just kind of hedonistic. Like, man, let's just have fun, sleep around, and I kind of go against that whole grain. And so I think that's what really sets me apart, because they've never seen somebody like myself kind of involved in hip hop culture. And on the Christian side, it's kind of like people haven't seen like authentic hip hop in a lot of ways. Like, it's kind of like there's glimpses of it, and it's been there, but not exposed to this degree. So yeah.
How do you define that, like, authentic hip hop?
It's not forced or contrived. It's not like church boy rap. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, I love Jesus and I'm gonna make a rap song. Yay! It's like I really grew up in hip hop culture. I can, go back and listen to music that I wasn't even present to hear, but I have an appreciation for it. The culture from graffiti to b-boying, all those different elements that are a part of hip hop culture. Like, I have a respect and kind of and have been bathed in them, and so to speak. So yeah.
Now, you talked about hip hop being sort of misogynistic and violent and drug oriented, but that wasn't always the way. Can you sort of walk me through how hip hop has evolved since the music that you grew up listening to, and maybe you're still discovering, that maybe predates you, to where it is now and where you'd like to take it?
Yeah, I mean, originally you have disenfranchised kids in the Bronx who, their parents took their jobs, and so they started b-boying, and they were making music to encourage and empower and uplift one another. And I think over time, it was exploited. Companies and labels got involved and said, oh, we can make money off these kids, and they started to exploit them And then it turned into just kind of a circus, because it's like, hey, what will they do for the dollar? And at that point in time, it was no longer about, you know, telling unique stories and pulling people up, and it was about, man, how can we make money? And so you would have groups, you know, revolutionary groups and conscious groups, you know, pop up throughout that time. Your Tribe Called Quest, your Public Enemies, and, you know, so on and so forth, who would take bold stances and still bring it back to the essence.
Back in the days on the boulevard of Linden, we used to kick routines and the presence was fitting. It was I, the Viper, and me, the Abstract.
But I think it just became such a big business and made so much money that the industry started to control, you know, we're just gonna do what we want to do with this. And it almost makes people like myself look like, you know, crazy or an anomaly when I come in and, you know, even politically charged and faith-oriented music. It's like, what is this? Because we haven't seen it in so long.
Yeah, R.I.P. to Mega Evers, R.I.P. to Dr. Kane. I ain't trying to hate on my own kind, but Al and Jesse don't speak for me.
Do you feel like there is an evangelic mission to your music, or are you just doing your music as you feel it and as you saying what you feel?
Yeah, I think the art speaks for itself. You know, I'm here to be an illustrator, and if the illustration evangelizes, then that's what it did. But that's not like, I don't try to first and foremost evangelize with art. I try to make good art. It's just to paint a picture of my experience. I'm here to inspire. I'm here to be a picture of hope. I'm here to transcend culture. You know, and there's moments when my compassion for others comes out, and my desire to be apologetic and explain things comes out, that I think is helpful.
Cause that might mean life change. That might mean I'm worth more than money, called sex, and pipe trains. Better not be no real Jesus, real forgiveness for hurt folks. If God gon' take me as I am, I guess I already got on my church clothes.